The Strangest Planets in the Universe. A sleep narration script. Close your eyes. Just for a moment, let everything go. Let the weight of the day settle down beneath you, like sand slowly sinking to the bottom of still water. Let your shoulders drop. Let your jaw unclench. Let your hands rest open and easy at your sides. There is nothing you need to do right now. Nothing you need to remember. Nothing you need to figure out or fix or prepare for. All of that can wait. All of that will wait. Right now, there is only this moment and this breath and this gentle invitation to let go. Breathe in slowly. Hold it for just a moment. And breathe out, long and soft, releasing whatever is left of the tension you carried in with you today. Good. Just like that. Now, imagine that the ceiling above you is beginning to dissolve. Imagine that the walls of whatever room you are in are growing translucent, thin as paper, and then thinner still, until they have simply faded away entirely. The bed beneath you remains, warm and solid and perfectly comfortable, but everything else has opened up into the widest, deepest, most peaceful darkness you have ever seen. Above you and around you and in every direction that exists, there is space. Vast, silent, endlessly patient space. Scattered through that darkness, like drops of light floating in a dark ocean, are stars beyond counting. Hundreds of billions of them, thousands of billions. So many that the numbers lose their meaning and become simply a feeling. The feeling of immensity, of something so much larger than you that your ordinary worries and ordinary thoughts simply have no room to exist inside it. You are floating in that space now, not falling, not drifting, floating, gently and securely, held by some quiet, invisible force, perfectly comfortable, perfectly safe. The temperature around you is exactly right. There is no sound but a very faint and distant hum, like the universe breathing slowly in its sleep. You are about to take a journey. A slow, drifting, deeply restful journey through the strangest and most beautiful places in the known cosmos. You will visit worlds unlike anything on Earth, worlds of diamond and fire, of endless ocean and eternal darkness, of storms that have been spinning for longer than human civilization has existed, of skies filled with colors that have no names in any human language. And all of it will be calm. All of it will be quiet. All of it will be the kind of wonder that lulls you gently deeper and deeper still, until you are sleeping the most peaceful sleep you have had in a long time. There is no hurry. There is nowhere to be. There is only the slow drift through the dark, and the stars ahead of you, and the soft sound of my voice guiding you through it all. Let your body grow heavy now. Feel the pleasant weight of your arms and your legs sinking down into comfort. Feel your eyelids growing heavier with each breath. You are safe. You are warm. You are being carried gently through the most beautiful darkness in existence. Let us begin. We drift away from the familiar blue glow of our own sun moving slowly outward through the solar system, passing the orange deserts of Mars, passing the swirling tan and ivory bands of Jupiter, passing the extraordinary ring system of Saturn, those pale, quiet rings made of ice and ancient dust, circling in perfect silence. We pass Neptune, that deep, cold blue at the edge of our own family of worlds. And then we keep going, moving out into the space between stars, where the distances are so enormous that they are measured not in miles, but in the time it takes light itself to travel across them. Even light, the fastest thing in the universe, would take years to carry us to the nearest other star. We are moving slower than that in our imagination, because there is no hurry. We have all night. We have all the time in the universe. And out here, in the dark between stars, something remarkable is waiting for us. A rogue planet. Not all planets orbit stars. Some were born in the darkness between solar systems, formed from the same swirling clouds of gas and dust that make stars and planetary systems, but never captured by any sun's gravity. They drift alone through interstellar space, without warmth, without light, without any star to call home. Astronomers call them rogue planets, or free-floating planets, and they may be among the most common type of world in the entire galaxy. Trillions of them, perhaps, wandering alone through the dark, in numbers that dwarf even the count of stars. Imagine the one we are passing now. It is roughly the size of our Earth, maybe a little larger. Its surface is dark, of course, completely dark, because there is no sun here to illuminate it. If you were standing on its surface, you would be standing in a darkness so total, so absolute, that you could not see your own hand held in front of your face. The sky above you would be nothing but stars, thousands of them, glittering cold and distant, beautiful, but providing no warmth, no comfort, no familiar sunrise to orient yourself by. The stars in every direction, equally distant, equally indifferent, equally beautiful. The surface of this world, if it once had one that was solid, has long since frozen into something harder than any stone on Earth. Frozen gases, frozen atmospheres, layers of ice so ancient and so compressed that they have taken on strange crystalline structures that have no names because no human being has ever stood on such a world and named them. It is impossibly cold here. Not merely the cold of a winter night, not even the cold of the poles of Antarctica, but something far deeper and more absolute. The cold of deep space itself, which is only a few degrees above the coldest temperature that can theoretically exist anywhere in the universe. And yet, even here, in this absolute cold and absolute dark, there may be warmth. Deep beneath the frozen surface of a rogue planet, heated by the slow radioactive decay of ancient elements in the planet's core, the same kind of heat that warms the interior of our own Earth, there may be liquid water. Oceans, hidden beneath miles of ice and rock, warmed just barely enough to remain liquid by the geological heartbeat of the world. And wherever there is liquid water, even in the most extreme and unlikely places, there is at least the possibility of life. Strange, slow, quiet life, adapted to the dark and the cold and the crushing pressure, living in the faint warmth of a world that has no sun. We will never know for certain, These rogue worlds are almost impossible to detect from across the vast distances of space, let alone to visit. They are among the great mysteries of the universe, the worlds that drift alone, unseen and unnamed, carrying their secrets in perfect silence through the between-star dark. Let them drift past us now, slowly, peacefully, as we float here in the quiet. Feel your breath slow a little more. Feel the comfort of the warmth around you, in contrast to that deep, cold darkness we just passed through. Feel the pleasant heaviness of your body settling even further into rest. We are moving again now, drifting in a new direction, toward a faint point of light that gradually grows larger and brighter as we approach it. A new star, unlike our own yellow sun, burning a slightly different color, casting a slightly different quality of light across the worlds that orbit it. And there, circling close to this unfamiliar star, is something extraordinary. A diamond planet. This may sound like a fairy tale. It may sound like something a poet invented, rather than something that actually exists.
But astronomers believe that certain worlds in the universe are composed primarily of carbon, in its most compressed and crystalline form, which is to say, diamond. Not diamonds scattered through rock the way they are on Earth, but planets where the core, or even the majority of the world's bulk, is made of the same material as the hardest, most brilliant gemstone that humans prize above almost anything else. How does this happen? It begins with the star itself. Some stars are unusually rich in carbon compared to other elements, and the planets that form around them reflect that composition. Over billions of years, under conditions of immense heat and crushing pressure deep within a planet's interior, carbon can be forced into its densest form, diamond. A diamond mantle, hundreds of miles thick, surrounding a diamond core, all of it covered perhaps by a thin outer layer of graphite or silicate rock, depending on conditions near the surface. Imagine standing on such a world, if it were cool enough to stand on, which most of these worlds are not. They orbit far too close to their stars, and their surfaces are unimaginably hot. But let us imagine a version of this world as it might be if it were farther from its sun. Let us imagine it as a quiet, cool, crystalline world, and ourselves hovering just above it in the still dark of space, looking down at it. The surface would catch the starlight in ways that no Earth surface ever could. Not the warm red and brown and green of our planet seen from above, not the blue of our oceans, but something else entirely. A faint glittering, a cold fire of refracted light, breaking into colors wherever the angles were just right. The whole world would seem to breathe with light, fracturing and scattering the rays of its star into 1,000 directions at once, like an impossible jewel the size of a planet floating in the dark. It is one of those things that is almost too beautiful to fully imagine. A whole world made of something that on Earth we guard in vaults and place in rings and give as the ultimate symbol of something we consider permanent and precious. And out here, in the vast dark of space, there are worlds made of nothing else. Let that image rest gently in your mind as we drift slowly onward. The diamond world growing smaller behind us, its cold light fading back into the general brilliance of the star field.
until it is just another point among points, and then nothing at all. Breathe softly. Feel the quiet around you. Let your thoughts grow slower, like a river approaching the sea. The next world we approach is very different. You will feel its presence before you see it, a warmth reaching out toward you across the dark of space, a faint orange-red glow growing steadily brighter as we draw closer. This is a lava world, a magma ocean planet, a world so close to its star, or so geologically violent, that its entire surface is covered in molten rock, not in places, not in rivers and lakes like the volcanic landscapes of Earth, but everywhere, from pole to pole, a global ocean of magma, hundreds of miles deep in places, glowing with its own fierce inner light. The sight of it, from a safe distance, is genuinely beautiful in the way that fire is always beautiful, primal, ancient, strangely mesmerizing. The surface is not still. It roils and churns and bubbles, sending up columns of superheated gas and vapor into an atmosphere that is itself a thick brew of silicon vapor and vaporized minerals and sulfur compounds, heavy and hot and completely hostile to any life as we understand it. The sky above this world, if sky is even the right word for that crushing, opaque blanket of gas, would be a deep and angry red, shot through with dark clouds that are not made of water vapor, but of rock vapor, mineral clouds that rain out droplets of molten silicate when they cool enough to condense.
It is a violent world, in the sense that everything happening on it is happening at extremes of temperature and pressure that make the most violent places on Earth seem mild and tame by comparison. And yet, from far enough away, at the right distance, there is something deeply peaceful about watching it. The way fire in a fireplace is peaceful. The way a volcano seen from a helicopter at a safe remove is peaceful. The ancient, slow geological violence of a world in the process of becoming, not finished, not settled, but alive in the most fundamental way, driven by the same forces that made our own Earth in its earliest and most violent youth. Our planet was once like this billions of years ago. Every rocky world, in the early chaos of its formation, passes through a stage of magma oceans and violent geological activity before it cools enough to develop solid crust, liquid water, the conditions we associate with the quiet, settled kind of world we live on. When you look at a lava world from a distance, you are seeing the past. You are seeing what our home once was, before the long, slow cooling of the ages made it gentle enough for life. There is something oddly comforting in that, something that speaks of time on scales so large that our individual worries and difficulties are almost comically small. The universe has been making and remaking worlds for billions of years. It will continue making them and remaking them for billions more. In that vast expanse of time, everything that troubles us tonight is a single breath, a single heartbeat, a single grain of sand on a beach that stretches beyond the horizon in every direction. Let that thought carry you a little deeper into rest. Let the immensity of time do what it always does to the small and urgent. Make it small and peaceful instead.
We move on, leaving the orange glow of the lava world behind us, its light fading as we drift further away, until the dark closes around us again, soft and total and deeply restful. There is a moment, traveling between worlds, when the quiet is so complete that it almost has a texture. Space is not truly empty.
It is filled with particles and magnetic fields, and the ancient light of long-dead stars, still traveling at full speed through the dark. But it feels empty in the way that a still room feels empty at 3 a.m. Peacefully, completely, profoundly still. Breathe into that stillness. Let it hold you. Let your mind drift, like we are drifting, without direction, without purpose, without any particular place to be. Somewhere ahead of us, so faint at first that it is barely distinguishable from the background glow of distant galaxies, there is a shimmer of blue. Pale, soft, oceanic blue. Growing slowly larger as we approach it, taking on depth and dimension, resolving gradually from a point of light into a sphere, and then into a world, an ocean world. Water, water everywhere. Not just surface oceans like those on our Earth, which cover about 70% of our planet's surface, but are, geologically speaking, a thin skin on the surface of a rocky world. But deep ocean, global ocean, ocean that goes down and down and down for hundreds of miles, under pressures so intense that the water at the bottom is compressed into exotic forms of ice that exist only under such conditions. Ice that is hot, ice that is denser than rock, ice that behaves in ways that our ordinary understanding of ice could not anticipate. And above that, miles and miles of liquid water, dark and cold near the bottom, warming and brightening slightly as you rise toward the surface, until finally the upper layers are lit by the distant but real light of the star this world calls home. Imagine that surface from above,
A horizon of water in every direction, perfectly smooth on calm days.
and on this world there may be no land at all to generate the friction and turbulence that shapes weather on Earth. So the surface might indeed be extraordinarily calm, disturbed only by tides from distant moons, or by the slow swells generated by deep geological processes far below. The color is not quite the blue of our oceans. The star here is a slightly cooler, redder star than our sun, and the light it casts is warmer, and the water reflects and absorbs it differently. The ocean of this world might be more green than blue, or more gray-green, or a color that sits between those in a way that has no name in our language. And below the surface, in the cold and the dark and the pressure, something might be alive. Ocean worlds are among the most promising candidates for life beyond Earth, because liquid water is the one ingredient that seems to be absolutely necessary for life as we understand it. And ocean worlds have it in extraordinary abundance. Not just surface water, not just brief seasonal lakes, but thousands of miles of liquid water, covering the entire planet, sustained across geological timescales by the balance of distance from the star, by the greenhouse effect of whatever atmosphere the world wears, by the geological heat rising from its core. What lives there, if anything does, we cannot know. It might be simple, single-celled organisms, the deep-sea equivalent of bacteria, living off the chemical energy released by geological vents on the ocean floor, the same way the earliest life on Earth may have begun. Or it might be something stranger and more complex, something adapted over billions of years to the particular darkness and pressure and chemistry of this specific ocean on this specific world, something we would not recognize as life immediately, something that would require long and careful study before we understood what we were looking at. or it might be empty.
The universe is, as far as we know, mostly empty of life. Most ocean worlds are probably as lifeless as the rogue planet we visited earlier. But the possibility is there, floating in the deep water, as it floats in the deep water of Europa, the ice-covered moon of Jupiter in our own solar system, and in the subsurface oceans of Enceladus, Saturn's small bright moon that sprays plumes of water vapor into space like a fountain. We hover above the ocean world for a while, in no hurry, watching the slow swell of its alien sea, the faint shimmer of starlight on its surface, the distant curve of the horizon where water meets sky. There is something deeply restful about being above an ocean, something that speaks to a deep part of us, perhaps the evolutionary memory of life that began in the sea, perhaps just the visual and psychological fact of water, which we associate universally with calm and flow and the release of tension. Let this ocean world do that for you now. Let the image of it, vast, blue-green, endlessly patient, carry you a little deeper into sleep. Your breathing is slower now. Your body is growing heavier and more comfortable. The journey is far from over, but there is no urgency. The next world will come in its own time. There is only the dark and the stars and the very faint sound of cosmic silence. We move on. This time we are heading toward something that announces itself not with light or heat or the shimmer of water, but with motion. Before we even arrive, we can see the clouds, great sweeping bands of atmosphere, striped in pale yellows and creams, and the faintest suggestion of amber, wrapped around a world that is many times larger than our Earth. Not a rocky planet at all, but a world made almost entirely of gas and cloud and wind, with perhaps no solid surface at all at its center, only a gradual deepening and pressurizing of gas until it becomes something more like liquid, and then deeper still, until it becomes something stranger still, a form of matter that exists only in the crushing interior of giant worlds. This is a gas giant, a cousin of Jupiter perhaps, or of Saturn, but orbiting a different star in a different part of the galaxy. And it carries, as gas giants often do, a storm. Not a storm like the storms of Earth, not a hurricane, not a nor'easter, not the most violent typhoon that has ever crossed a tropical ocean. Those are small, local, brief by comparison. This storm has been spinning for longer than our civilization has existed, longer than our species has existed. This storm was old before the first human being walked upright on the savannah, and it is still spinning now. A vast oval of churning cloud and wind and lightning that could contain the entire surface of the earth within its borders and have room left over. The winds within it move at speeds that make the fastest winds on earth seem like a gentle breeze. Hundreds of miles per hour, sustained, not in gusts, but continuously, carrying clouds of ammonia crystals and droplets of who knows what across the face of the storm in great sweeping arcs. The lightning within it is not like Earth lightning, brief, jagged, lasting a fraction of a second. This lightning is different. In the deep clouds of a gas giant, where the pressure builds and the water and ammonia clouds interact in complex ways, lightning bolts can discharge for much longer, can be vastly more energetic,
can illuminate the inner clouds of the storm with a flickering, diffuse, almost dreamy light.
From above, the storm looks almost hypnotic. The edges of the oval are surrounded by bands of cloud moving in opposite directions, the normal banded flow of the gas giant's atmosphere. And where these bands meet the storm, they are deflected and swirled and drawn into elegant curved shapes at the edges of the great rotating oval. It is the most beautiful fluid dynamics in the solar system, in any solar system. The mathematics of turbulence expressed in cloud and color on a scale too vast to take in all at once. Jupiter's great red spot in our own solar system is a storm like this. It has been observed since the 17th century, and it was already enormous when Galileo's contemporaries first turned telescopes toward the giant planet. It has been shrinking in recent centuries, which may mean it will eventually dissipate. But for now it persists, as it has persisted across human history, a permanent feature on the face of the largest world in our solar system. And across the galaxy, on gas giants orbiting other stars, there are storms like this, and stranger ones, and larger ones. There are storms on gas giants that are so enormous they could swallow not just Earth, but the entire inner solar system, Sun and Mercury, and Venus and Mars included. Storms that have been spinning since the planet itself was young. Storms that may outlast the star they orbit. It is one of those thoughts that is so large, it becomes peaceful by its very size. A storm older than humanity. A storm that does not know we exist, and would not notice us even if it did. Spinning quietly in its own vast way, doing what it has always done, as we float above it in the dark and watch the slow swirl of ancient clouds. Breathe out slowly. Let your thoughts swirl for a moment like those clouds, and then let them settle. Let them grow still. There is nothing in them that needs your attention tonight. We drift higher and further now, moving away from the gas giant, watching it shrink behind us until its storm is just a small dot in the striped face of the planet. And then the planet itself is just a striped circle, and then a pale dot, and then gone. The dark is complete again. And somewhere ahead, on the edge of our imagination, is one of the strangest worlds we will visit tonight. A world where it rains glass. This is not a metaphor or a fairy tale, though it sounds exactly like one. In a certain kind of planetary atmosphere, one containing silicate particles, which are essentially the same materials that make glass on Earth, suspended in very hot, very fast winds. Rain can form that is made not of water, but of tiny droplets of liquid silicate glass. This glass rain does not fall gently. On the planet where astronomers believe this happens, a world far outside our solar system, a world known to science only by a catalog number, a world we have never seen directly, but only inferred from the light of its star, the winds are moving so fast, hundreds of miles per hour, that the glass droplets are not falling downward in the usual sense, but sideways, horizontally, driven by those ferocious winds across a sky that is itself deep blue, not because of the particular way our atmosphere scatters light, but because of the way this world's atmosphere absorbs the light of its star. A deep, vivid, alien blue sky. Not the gentle pale blue of a clear earth morning, but something richer, more saturated, more deeply colored. The kind of blue you might see at the very edge of twilight,
when the sky is almost purple and the stars are just beginning to appear. And across that blue, moving too fast to follow, glass. Not large shards of glass. We imagine them as tiny, finer than the finest sand, smooth-edged as they travel through the hot wind, glittering where they catch the light.
It is one of those things that is genuinely beautiful when you remove it from any human scale. There is no perspective from which a human being could survive on the surface of such a world. The heat, the pressure, the acid winds, the glass itself moving at the speed of a bullet through the air. None of this is compatible with human life, or any life we know of. And yet the image of it, the abstract idea of it, a blue world with glass rain falling sideways across a deep alien sky. That image is lovely. It belongs in a painting or a dream. Let it be a dream now. Let it drift past you like a painting, slowly scrolling across the inside of your closed eyelids. That deep blue. Those tiny flickers of glass light in the horizontal wind. The faint sound, if you could hear it, of the atmosphere of another world, doing something so strange it has no equivalent in any human experience. Let it fade now, gently, as we move on. You are doing beautifully. Your breathing is slow and steady. The world that your body rests in is warm and safe and perfectly comfortable. You are exactly where you should be, and there is nothing to do but let this journey continue, drifting you gently towards sleep, like a boat floating downstream in the last light of evening. Let us visit for a little while a world that has no real equivalent in science fiction, because it is too strange to have been invented, too specific to have been dreamed of. A world that orbits not one sun, but two. Binary star systems are actually quite common in the universe. Many of the stars you see in the night sky are not single stars at all, but two stars orbiting each other, sometimes close enough that they are nearly touching, sometimes far enough apart that the space between them could contain entire solar systems.
And in some of these binary star systems, planets form and orbit around both stars at once, on a path that takes them sometimes closer to one star and sometimes closer to the other, in a complex gravitational dance that gives rise to a sky unlike anything in our experience. Imagine standing on such a world, on a world that orbits a binary star, and watching the sunrise. Except that there is not one sunrise, but two. On some days, the two suns rise together, almost side by side, flooding the world with more light than any single sun could provide, casting double shadows from every rock and every ridge. Your own shadow split into two, one following you to the left and one to the right, both distinct, both perfect, moving together as you move. On other days, the suns rise at different times, the larger and brighter one first, washing the sky in pale gold, and then later, as the planet continues on its complicated orbital path, the second sun rises as well, and the sky shifts and warms and changes. And the sunsets on a world with two suns, are among the most beautiful things that can theoretically exist in the universe. Imagine a sky at the end of a long day, the larger sun already touching the horizon, painting everything in reds and oranges, the way sunsets do everywhere, because the long path through the atmosphere, at a shallow angle, scatters the short wavelengths of light and lets the long ones,
the reds, the oranges come through. And then, just as that light is fading, the second sun, smaller and cooler and more reddish in its own natural color, descends as well, adding its own warm wash of color to a sky already full of beauty. Two suns setting in succession, or together, or at angles to each other. The sky having more color than a single sky should be able to contain.
Before we leave the subject of binary stars, let us stay here just a little longer, because the sky of a binary world changes not just at sunrise and sunset, but all through the day and the night in ways that are endlessly varied. On some orbits, the two suns would be so close together in the sky that they would appear as one elongated, slightly blurry star, like a very bright egg shape instead of a perfect circle. On other orbits, they would be separated by a great arc of sky, each one clearly distinct, casting their individual shadows, creating a world of dual light and dual warmth that no human artist has ever truly been able to render, because we have never experienced it, because we grew up under one sun, and our entire visual vocabulary of light and shadow was built around that single source. There would be times on some binary worlds when one sun was up and the other was below the horizon, a half-binary day, still bright, still warm from the one sun present, but with a quality of light that was somehow different from what it would be with both suns present. Perhaps a slight shift in color temperature, perhaps slightly longer shadows from the single remaining sun, perhaps something indefinable, a quality that an inhabitant of such a world would recognize immediately as the one sun light, distinct from the two sun light, the way that a cloudy day is distinct from a clear one on Earth, both bright, both day, but carrying a completely different quality of experience. And the nights, oh, the nights on a binary world. Here is where it gets most interesting, because depending on the particular geometry of the system, how far apart the two stars are from each other, how far out the planet orbits, the nights might be very different from Earth nights. If the two stars are far apart, and the planet orbits only one of them, the other star might be visible at night as a very bright star, not as a sun, not warm, not bright enough to read by, but brilliant, far brighter than anything in our own night sky, bright enough to cast a faint shadow, bright enough to make the night seem less complete than our nights are. Imagine camping on a binary world on a clear night. The near star has set, and the sky has darkened, or mostly darkened, because the companion star hangs there, far away but bright, giving the landscape a faint bluish cast that makes everything look like the moments just before dawn. That particular quality of light that on Earth we call astronomical twilight, when the sky is dark enough to see many stars, but not fully, totally dark. And above that faint, bright companion star, the full field of the galaxy spreads out, the same river of light that we can see on a very dark, very clear night on Earth. The combined glow of 100 billion stars, the overhead arch of the Milky Way, ancient and magnificent. George Lucas filmed the double sunset on Tatooine, and generations of filmgoers felt something stir in them at the sight of it. And they were responding to something real, to the actual fact that worlds like this exist, that in the galaxy, there are planets where this is the ordinary end of every ordinary day, where someone,
something, might stand and watch two suns go down and feel, in whatever way they are capable of feeling, the kind of peace that comes from beauty that is simply larger than you. Let that image be with you now. Two suns setting, the sky full of color, the day ending in a blaze of something more than beauty. Your body is very heavy now. Your thoughts are growing thin and far away, like the light of those suns as they sink below the alien horizon. This is exactly as it should be. This is the edge of sleep.
This is the beautiful border between waking and dreaming, where the journey can continue even after my voice is faded, carried forward by your own dreaming mind into places even stranger and more beautiful than these. But we have a few more worlds to visit before we reach that border. Stay with me for a little while longer. You do not have to do anything. You do not have to remember any of this. Just let the words carry you. But before we leave the neighborhood of a gas giant and its ancient storms, let me tell you about a quieter kind of atmosphere, a stranger and more intimate kind of sky. There is a world, or rather there are many worlds and one moon in our own solar system that illustrates the principle beautifully, where the sky is not blue and not black, and not the violent orange-red of a magma world's atmosphere, but a deep, warm amber, the color of old honey, the color of late afternoon light filtered through dense autumn leaves, a sky that glows faintly from within, not because of heat, not because of fire, but because of chemistry, because the sunlight falling through the upper atmosphere has been doing something patient and strange for millions of years, building up molecule by molecule a photochemical haze, a permanent, gentle, all-enveloping layer of complex organic particles that tints everything below it in that soft amber warmth. Titan, the largest moon of Saturn, has a sky exactly like this. And somewhere in the galaxy, there are full-sized planets with atmospheres richer and stranger still. Worlds where the chemistry in the air is so complex, so varied, so endlessly recombining under the influence of stellar light and lightning and the slow mixing of the atmosphere. Worlds where the air itself is, in some sense, alive with possibility. Imagine drifting down through such an atmosphere.
Imagine the transition from the clear black of space into the first thin wisps of the upper haze, where the color begins. Just a trace of warmth at first, a very faint yellowing of the black, as if the darkness itself were beginning to warm. And deeper the yellow becomes gold, and the gold becomes amber, and the amber deepens and enriches until the light around you has no clear direction anymore, no single source, just a diffuse and lovely warmth coming from all sides equally, like being inside a paper lantern lit from without. Below the haze, if you keep descending, the landscape slowly reveals itself. Not in sharp relief, the diffuse light casts no sharp shadows, but in gentle gradations of tone and shade, everything soft-edged, everything bathed in that amber wash. The ground, whatever it is made of, appears in that light as something warmer and more welcoming than it might appear in ordinary sunlight. Even rock, even ice, even the strange hydrocarbon sands of a world like Titan. In that amber haze light, everything looks like something you might want to sit down on. Everything looks like a place where you might be comfortable.
everything looks like evening. The lakes on a world like this, if there are lakes, and on the worlds most like Titan there would be, dark, still pools of something that is not water, but behaves like water, gathers in low places like water, evaporates and rains down, and flows in rivers like water. The lakes would be dark mirrors under the amber sky, reflecting that soft glow back upward in perfect stillness. You could stand at the edge of such a lake and see the sky reflected below you, amber above and amber below, the land between two skies, the geometry of reflection, creating a kind of visual doubling that would make the world feel larger and stranger and more dreamlike than it already is. Let that image settle into you.
Two amber skies, one above and one below, and you, standing at the edge of a dark, still lake, somewhere on a world that has no name in any human language, in a universe too large for names, breathing slowly, looking out at the reflection of the haze. Breathe now, slowly. Let the amber light fill your closed eyelids for just a moment before we move on. We are heading now toward something truly cold. Not the cold of the rogue planet, deep and absolute, but a different kind of cold. The cold of a world that is far from its star, covered in ice, reflecting back almost all the light that falls on it, in the pale, perfect way that only ice can. A world so white and so cold that it seems to glow slightly even in the dark, the way that fresh snow glows at night from the reflected light of the moon. This is an ice world, not the ice of a polar cap, not a winter landscape on a world that also has tropics and seasons. An ice world, entirely, pole to pole, surface to core. A world that has been frozen for so long that the ice itself has changed, compressed over billions of years into something harder and cleaner than the ice in any freezer on Earth, smooth and vast and blindingly white under the faint, distant light of the star it orbits. The surface of an ice world is not boring. Ice, under the influence of the tiny fluctuations of warmth from even a very distant star, can flow incredibly slowly, so slowly that you would not observe it moving even over the course of a human lifetime. But over millions of years, the ice of an ice world flows like a very, very slow river, responding to the landscape beneath it, flowing around ancient mountains buried under miles of ice, pooling in ancient impact craters, cracking along great lines where the ice is under tension, and producing cliffs of ice that might be a mile tall, perfectly vertical, perfectly smooth, catching the faint starlight and throwing it back in cool blue-white. The color of ice in deep quantities is not white. Water ice in large enough masses takes on a deep, saturated blue. The blue of glaciers, the blue of ice caves, the blue of Antarctic icebergs that have been compressing for thousands of years. This is because ice absorbs the longer wavelengths of light, the reds and yellows, more efficiently than the shorter ones, and what is left to be reflected back is the blue end of the spectrum. And so the ice world, up close, is not white at all. It is blue. Deep, cold, pure, ancient blue, in the same family as the ocean blue of the ocean world we visited earlier, but colder, harder, more perfectly still.
There is a silence on an ice world that is different from any other kind of silence. Not just the absence of sound, but the presence of cold itself as a kind of sensory experience, muffling everything, slowing everything, turning the world into a place where nothing is hurried, nothing is urgent. Everything has been paused at the temperature of stillness. Rest in that stillness for a moment. Let the cold blue of that ice world fill your closed eyes, peaceful and clean and still. Let everything slow down, the way everything slows in the cold. Let your thoughts become like the ice, slow, crystalline, growing quieter and more ordered as they cool. We are moving on again, away from the ice, back into the warmer and stranger neighborhoods of the cosmos. But let us pause for just a moment in the space between these worlds, this quiet, dark between destinations. And let me tell you about a world that I have been saving, because it is perhaps the most unusual of all the ones we have visited tonight. Somewhere in the galaxy, there are planets that orbit not ordinary stars, but the collapsed remnants of stars that have already died. Neutron stars, some of these are called. Objects so dense that a teaspoon of their material would weigh more than a mountain on Earth, packed into a sphere only a few miles across, spinning sometimes hundreds of times per second, broadcasting beams of radio waves that sweep through space like a cosmic lighthouse. When those beams sweep past Earth with metronomic precision, astronomers call these objects pulsars, pulsing stars, and they are among the most precise natural clocks in the universe. And in the 1990s, astronomers discovered that some pulsars have planets. Let that settle for a moment. Planets orbiting the ruins of a dead star. Worlds that somehow survived the catastrophic supernova explosion that killed the star they orbited, or that formed afterward from the debris, and now circle this dense, spinning, radio beacon remnant in orbits that are extraordinarily precise. So precise that the planets were discovered by measuring the tiny wobbles their gravity induced in the pulsar's perfect clockwork timing. A pulsar world. Imagine it. The star it orbits is tiny, just a few miles across, smaller than a city, but it radiates enormous energy, not as gentle visible light, but as X-rays and radio waves, and other forms of radiation that we cannot see with our eyes. The sky above a pulsar world would be extraordinary and strange. The pulsar itself too small and distant to appear as a disk, visible perhaps as a point source of peculiar light, a star that flickers with machine-like regularity, once or many times per second, a lighthouse in the sky. The radiation environment near a pulsar would be hostile to any life we know of. The intense X-ray flux, the particle winds, the magnetic fields, these would be lethal to biological organisms as we understand them. And yet, somewhere in the universe, those planets are there, orbiting, enduring.
What they are made of, what their surfaces are like, whether the extraordinary radiation environment has done something to them that makes them unique in all of creation. These are questions that have no answers yet. They are mysteries, real mysteries, not the comfortable, manufactured mystery of storytelling, but the deep, genuine mystery of the unknown, the universe having done something we could not have predicted, and about which we know almost nothing. There is a kind of peace in genuine mystery,
a peace different from the peace of understanding. When something is fully understood, the wonder can fade, replaced by a kind of comfortable knowledge, a file in the mind's cabinet labeled "done." But when something remains genuinely mysterious, it stays alive, it stays open. It continues to invite the mind's attention without demanding anything specific from it. It is a door that is open, not a door that is closed. Let the pulsar world be an open door tonight, a mystery you do not need to solve, a wonder you can simply hold lightly in your open hands. And now, moving on, and before we arrive at the atmosphere world I have been saving for you, let me take you somewhere that most people would not think of as peaceful, but which, from the correct distance and in the correct frame of mind, is among the most meditative sights in the cosmos. A world that is tidally locked. Tidal locking is what happens when a planet orbits close enough to its star that the gravity of the star has, over billions of years, slowed the planet's rotation until one side always faces the star and the other always faces away. Our own moon does this with Earth, the same face always looking toward us, which is why we speak of the far side of the moon as something mysterious and hidden. Many planets that orbit small, cool, red dwarf stars, the most common kind of star in the galaxy, are tidally locked in exactly this way. Imagine standing on the boundary between the day side and the night side of such a world, the line where eternal noon meets eternal midnight. Astronomers call this the terminator, the permanent boundary of perpetual twilight that circles the planet. On one side of you stretches the day side, the star always high and bright, the ground baked and blazing, no day, no night, simply permanent noon forever in that direction. On the other side stretches the night side, the star never rising, the darkness permanent and deep, the ground growing colder over millions of years, with no warmth to interrupt it. And where you stand, on the terminator, the star hangs forever on the horizon, not rising, not setting, simply present, always at the exact angle of sunset or sunrise, forever. The light is the warm, golden, angled light of a horizon sun, casting long shadows, making the world look like an eternal magic hour. The temperature is moderate, perhaps the most habitable place on the whole planet. Imagine walking slowly from that golden light into the night side. Each step, the star drops a fraction lower behind you. The warmth fades by degrees, the air cools, and above you the stars appear, not gradually as on Earth, but revealed with each step, as if someone were slowly turning up the brightness of the night sky, the brightest stars first, and then the dimmer ones, and then the whole quiet river of the galaxy, building across the sky as you walk deeper into the dark, until you are surrounded entirely by it. Let that be your walk tonight, moving gently from the light into the dark, from the last warm glow of the golden hour into the deep, restful dark of the stars, each breath carrying you a little further from the warmth and a little deeper into the quiet. You are almost there now, and I want to tell you about a world that is extraordinary, not for its surface or its ocean or its ice, but for what is above it, its atmosphere.
Most planets with atmospheres have ones that are, in human terms, poisonous. Not designed for human breathing, full of the wrong gases in the wrong proportions, too hot or too cold, or too dense or too thin to sustain us. But some planetary atmospheres are extraordinary, not just in their chemistry, but in their structure, in the way they are organized, in the phenomena they produce. Consider a world where the atmosphere is so thick and so heavy that the pressure at the surface is many times what you would experience at the surface of our Earth. So much so that the gases themselves begin to behave strangely, not quite like the thin, airy atmosphere we are used to, but more like a very thin liquid, sluggish and dense and slow. Venus, in our own solar system, has an atmosphere something like this. Almost 90 times the atmospheric pressure of Earth, thick with carbon dioxide, with clouds of sulfuric acid floating at high altitude, reflecting sunlight so efficiently that Venus is the brightest object in our sky after the sun and moon. The clouds of Venus are interesting to think about at this time of night. They are brilliant white from above, reflecting 90% of the sunlight that falls on them, making Venus shine like a small and brilliant lamp in the morning or evening sky. And they are layered, different layers of cloud at different altitudes, each one with slightly different chemistry and temperature and character. The highest layers, if you could somehow float there in a balloon, would be at a pressure and temperature similar to the surface of Earth. And in that strange fact, there are people who have seriously proposed that the clouds of Venus might be, among all the places in the solar system beyond Earth, the most habitable for human beings. Not the surface, which is an inferno, but the clouds. Imagine floating in the clouds of Venus.
Imagine a balloon habitation station, floating at high altitude in those brilliant white clouds, with the pressure and temperature of a pleasant Earth day, the clouds billowing soft and white in every direction, lit from above by a sun that is slightly closer and slightly brighter than the sun of Earth, casting a warm and diffuse light through the cloud layers. Far below, invisible through miles of cloud, the hellish surface. Far above, the black of space. And here, in this narrow band of almost habitability, this thin layer of barely survivable atmosphere in the most inhospitable planet in the solar system, a floating station among the clouds. It sounds like a dream, and perhaps it is for now. But it is also, in the broadest sense, the kind of dream that has a chance of someday being real. Let it be a dream for you tonight. That floating in the clouds, that soft white light, that sense of being suspended between the dark of space above and the unknown below, held perfectly in place by the balance of gases and temperature and the faint lifting force of that strange, thick air. Breathe softly. You are floating now, in the gentlest possible way. The night is deepening around you. The stars, if you can still imagine them, are growing brighter in the way that stars do in the deep of the night, when the sky has fully darkened and the dew is settling on everything, and the world is as quiet as it gets. You are very close to sleep now. The journey has been long and beautiful, and you have traveled very far, very peacefully, without moving at all. Let me take you to one more place before you drift into dreaming. This world is unlike any of the others. It is not hot or cold in any ordinary sense, It is not made of ice or diamond or magma. It does not have violent storms or glass rain or double suns. Instead, what makes it extraordinary is something quieter. Something that you would only notice after a long time spent looking, after your eyes had adjusted, after you had slowed down enough to see what was actually there. This world is old, so old that the numbers do not really help. We can say billions of years, and that means nothing to a human mind that has trouble imagining a few hundred years. This world orbited a star that lived its full life and then died, collapsing in the ancient past in a blaze that would have sterilized anything nearby. But by some cosmic coincidence, the right distance, the right composition, the right mass, this world survived the death of its first star. It is a planet orbiting a white dwarf now, the cooling ember of the dead star, a tiny, dense object that gives off only a faint, cool light, a fraction of what the original star produced. And over the enormous span of time since the original star died, since the system was remade by catastrophe, and the planet found its new orbit around the cooling remnant, this world has had billions of years to simply exist, to settle, to cool, to become whatever it was going to become in the absence of the fierce light that once shaped it. What has it become? We cannot know for certain, but imagine a world that has had so long to simply be, that everything on it has reached a kind of equilibrium. Every geological process slowed, every chemical reaction having run to completion long ago, every landscape worn so smooth and so old that there are no young mountains, no fresh craters, nothing recently made, just ancient plains of ancient rock, worn flat over billions of years of slow geological patience, under a sky lit by the faint glow of the white dwarf, pale and cold, enough to see by, but not enough to warm anything, a perpetual twilight, a sky that is never fully dark, but never anything close to the brightness of an ordinary day. There is something about great age that is deeply peaceful, the way that ancient mountains are peaceful, their peaks rounded and gentle after millions of years of erosion, so different from the sharp and violent young mountains that have just been thrust up by tectonic collision. The way that an old tree is peaceful, its bark thick and furrowed with the record of long survival, its roots deep and slow and certain. The way that an old person who has lived fully and honestly is peaceful, not because nothing bad has happened to them, but because they have had so long to come to terms with everything, so long to settle, so long to become whatever they are. This old, quiet world carries that kind of peace. Nothing is happening on it that is dramatic. Nothing is in a hurry. The faint light of the white dwarf creeps slowly across its ancient plains, marking the passage of days that are probably much longer than Earth days. Long, slow days on a world that has been turning for longer than the sun has existed. The rock beneath your feet, if you were standing there, would be the oldest rock you had ever stood on. The silence around you would be the silence of a place that has been silent for longer than life has existed on Earth. There is a word for this kind of peace. Different cultures have different words for it. The Japanese have wabi-sabi.
the appreciation of beauty in age and imperfection and transience. The Welsh have hiraeth, a kind of longing for something ancient and half-remembered. Other languages have words for the peace of old places, of ruins, of things that have lasted longer than they needed to, and are still here, still standing, still present in their quiet way. Whatever word you want to use, or no word at all, just the feeling, let this old world give it to you now. Let its ancient stillness settle over you like a blanket.
Let its billions of years of patience be, for just a moment, a gift to your tiredness, an invitation to stop trying, to stop doing, to simply be as still and as settled as this old world beneath its pale twilight sky. You are almost asleep. I can hear it in the slowness of your breath if I listen closely enough. The way each breath comes a little more slowly than the one before it, a little more deeply, a little more automatically, as the body's intelligence takes over from whatever small remaining portion of your waking mind is still following these words. Let it take over. You do not need to keep up. You do not need to follow along. The journey will continue without you, and your dreaming mind can pick it up wherever it wishes, following whatever thread draws it forward through the dark. But I will stay with you for a little while longer. There is no hurry. The universe is not going anywhere, and neither are you. Let me tell you about something that does not happen often, but when it does, is perhaps the most beautiful event that the universe produces. A star being born. Somewhere in the galaxy, in the vast clouds of gas and dust that drift between the stars, the molecular clouds astronomers call them, and the largest of them contain enough material to make millions of stars. In one of those clouds, right now, tonight, a new star is being born. The process takes thousands of years by our reckoning, but on the time scale of the universe, it is almost instantaneous. A brief and brilliant flowering. A cloud of gas begins to collapse under its own gravity, slowly at first, then faster and faster, the material falling inward, heating up as it compresses, growing denser and hotter and more compact, until in the very center of the collapse, a core forms that is hot enough and dense enough to begin the process that will define the star's whole existence. Nuclear fusion. The conversion of hydrogen into helium, releasing in the process a flood of light and energy that pushes outward against the gravity trying to collapse everything inward. And in that balance between gravity and radiation pressure, a star finds its equilibrium and settles into burning for as long as its hydrogen lasts. Billions of years for a star like our sun. Around the new star, the leftover gas and dust that was not pulled into the star itself begins to flatten into a spinning disk. The same flat spinning disk that will, over millions of years, gather itself into clumps. Those clumps will accumulate into planetesimals. Those planetesimals will collide and merge into planets. And the planets will find their orbits around the new sun. And some of them will cool and develop atmospheres. And some of those will develop water. And some of those may, eventually, develop life. Every star you see in the night sky represents this process having happened in the past.
Every point of light is a sun, and many of those suns have planets, and some of those planets might have life, and some of that life might be, right now, in this very moment, looking up at their own night sky and wondering about the lights above them, and about the vast, dark spaces between, and about whether they are alone in the universe. We are probably not alone. In a galaxy with hundreds of billions of stars, and a universe with hundreds of billions of galaxies, the probability of life arising somewhere other than Earth is, most scientists who think about such things believe, extremely high. The probability of intelligent life, of civilizations, of beings who build and wonder and create and feel, that is harder to calculate, more uncertain, the subject of genuine and fascinating scientific debate. But the vastness of the universe and the ubiquity of the conditions for life make the silence of the cosmos, the fact that we have not yet heard from anyone else, one of the great mysteries of our age.
Perhaps the distances are simply too large. Perhaps other civilizations exist but are so far away that their signals have not reached us yet, or have reached us and faded below the noise floor of our detectors. Perhaps there are many civilizations, but none of them are broadcasting, for the same reasons that we have only recently begun broadcasting, and may not do so indefinitely. Perhaps the universe is full of life, and full of minds, and full of the wonder of being, and we are simply too new, too small, too early in the long story of cosmic history to have made contact with any of it yet. It is a thought that could be lonely, and sometimes is, but tonight, let it be the opposite. Let the possibility of those other lives, those other minds, those other beings lying on their own versions of this world, looking up at their own versions of this sky. Let that possibility be a kind of company, a vast, invisible, perhaps real community of consciousness, scattered through the dark, each one small and brief and local, and all of them together, composing something large and long and beautiful. You are part of that, whatever you are, whatever the circumstances of your existence, whatever small or large things fill your days. You are part of the great experiment of the universe, trying to know itself. You are consciousness in the cosmos. You are aware, and that awareness is the most extraordinary thing that exists, as far as we know. And it is in you, and it is in this moment, and right now, it is drifting gently toward the border of sleep, which is its own kind of journey, its own kind of voyage through the inner cosmos of the dreaming mind. Let it go there now. The planets we have visited tonight have all been extraordinary. The diamond worlds glittering cold in the dark, the lava worlds churning with ancient geological fire, the ocean worlds, deep and still and full of possibility, the rogue worlds drifting alone through the between-star dark, cold and silent, and strangely dignified, the worlds with glass rain and double suns, and storms that have outlasted civilizations, the ice worlds in their pure blue stillness, the old worlds under the pale light of dead stars. All of them are real, or probably real, or certainly possible. The universe is strange enough and large enough that almost anything we can imagine exists somewhere in it, in some form, under some star, in some arm of some galaxy,
among the hundreds of billions of galaxies that fill the observable universe. And all of those worlds are right now doing what worlds do, rotating in the dark, orbiting their stars, or drifting without stars, carrying their oceans and their lava and their ice and their diamond cores through the vast and peaceful dark, undisturbed and undisturbing, existing simply and completely in the way that worlds do, without concern for the future, without memory of the past, present only in the enormous, simple, beautiful fact of their existence. Let that be enough right now. Let existence be enough. Let this moment and this warmth and this darkness and this slow breathing be enough. Let the vast, peaceful universe hold you in its dark as it holds all things, every planet, every star, every life, gently, completely, without judgment, without demand. The stars are very far away tonight, beautiful and cold and steady. They will be there when you wake. They will be there long after you have woken and gone about your day and returned again to this darkness and this rest. They have been there for billions of years, and they will continue, each one burning out and being replaced by new stars from new clouds. The whole great cycle of stellar birth and death, continuing in its unhurried way, across timescales too large for any of us to truly hold in mind. And that is fine. We do not need to hold it in mind. We only need to rest in it.
We only need to accept the gift of it, the gift of being small in a universe that is incomprehensibly large, and finding that smallness restful rather than frightening, and finding the darkness full rather than empty, and finding the silence peaceful rather than lonely. You are floating now, in the dark, among the stars. There is no hurry. There is nothing left undone that cannot wait for morning. There is nothing to be afraid of. The universe is breathing slowly, and you are breathing with it, and every breath takes you a little further from the surface of waking, and a little deeper into the warm dark of sleep, where the journey continues in its own way, under its own stars, through its own strange and beautiful planets that exist only in the boundless space of your dreaming mind. The diamond world glitters somewhere behind you, cold and perfect. The ocean world turns in the dark, its surface silver green and still. The lava world pulses with its ancient inner fire. The rogue world drifts alone through the silence between stars, patient, independent, complete in itself. And the double-sunned world is watching two suns set right now, painting a sky with more color than you have words for. And something is standing there watching it. Or no one is. And it is beautiful anyway, because beauty does not require a witness. Beauty simply is. Sleep now. Drift down through the comfortable dark, the way a leaf drifts down through still water, slowly, without resistance, turning slightly as it falls, settling toward the deep, quiet bottom, where there are no thoughts, and no worries, and no plans, and nothing at all, except the perfect peace of deep, full, dreamless, or dreaming sleep.
The universe is large enough to hold everything you carry. It has been holding it all along, and you never needed to hold it yourself. Tonight, you can let it go.
Tonight, you can simply be here, in your body, in your warmth, in the ordinary, extraordinary fact of being alive on a small blue planet in the arm of a spiral galaxy that is moving very slowly through the dark. Good night. Rest well. The stars will keep their watch. The planets will keep their journeys. The universe will keep its patience, as it always has, as it always will. And you will keep your rest for as long as you need it, deep and warm and full of the kind of peace that comes from having traveled very far and arrived at last, exactly where you were always meant to be, right here, right now, at rest. Good night.